What's up, guys? Welcome back. As always, or as recently, still pushing forward on the 1000 SP. Got a lot going on. In the last episode, we got the steering sorted out for the most part. So now it steers. It rolls, it steers, it goes up and down. And Corey's helping get some tin work done. You guys have seen this the whole time we've been working on this car. Had to cut some reliefs for the shock towers on the EvaResto. Listen. I gotta talk to Max, because a couple of you guys, I think from Britain, have been telling me it's EvaResto. And if that's the case, this is Max's fault, because I've been saying EvaResto this whole time, even hanging out with him in England, been calling it EvaResto, and he didn't correct me once. So it's no longer my fault. So the EvaResto front bagged beam, they have raised towers, and that for a Beetle allows you to go low, and you've got the space to do it. So essentially you've got the space to go up with a tower on a Beetle. But unfortunately, if you want to bolt this into an Auto Union 1000 SP, you don't have the room. So we made some relief cuts, and now we are finally boxing it in. We're using parts of the Auto Union body to do this. And one, we get to recycle material, but two, I want the, guys, I don't know. I know there's some wires crossed. I just like patina so much that I really like the idea of painting all the stuff that we've been doing. The frame, the pan, the steering, painting all that. All the EvaResto stuff comes powder coated, but leaving the engine bay patina, just the way it weathered and aged like the rest of the car. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. I'm in the car. I'm out of the car. I want to keep the engine bay just tattered like this. I really like it. It's not rotted. There's no rot holes anywhere. Down underneath it gets a little tender, but you can't see any of that anyway. Corey's kind of working on getting some angles together and some templates. Over here there was like a canister that a dimple relief was made for, so we got more angles here to contend with. That's where we're starting this episode off. I'm working on the laser machine because there's a whole, it's a circus here. We're reusing some old 1000 SP steel to make this look like, it just came like that and it all weathered together. Well, here are the pieces that I kept that came out of the Auto Union. And as you can see, they are the inner wheel well tubs. So this was inside the car, this was wheel well. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna ultimately wish I had kept them just in case. I really don't care if anyone else cares about this or not, but I'm pretty stoked on it. I'm pretty stoked that we can reuse some parts that we're gonna get binned and modify the car in the way we need to modify it, but also make it look like it's all been original by using the same weathered and patinaed steel with the same color. All right, so while some work gets done on the front of the car, I'm gonna kind of work towards the rear. Now that we've got our 165/50s on the 15x8s in the rear, and this is the tire that's gonna stay on this wheel now, I can finally get inside here. We can finally figure out where we're gonna go with the frame from basically where we brought it to the parcel shelf, and how we're going to continue down and help build some structure for the back of the body. We've got one body mount here that's still usable, it's still pretty strong, but over here we have literally nothing. There ain't nothing left. For all you Auto Union guys, this is what the whole undercarriage of the car looked like. This here, it was bad. The thing was rotted. I get that people are restoring split window buses with nothing but a VIN plate and a steering wheel. So that's why we are hot rodding it. And we're not hot rodding a showroom condition one. We're taking one that was literally just gonna rot away, and we're doing something cool with it. that's actually probably my favorite part of the car so far. I had the idea to use old scrap pieces of metal out of the car to basically encapsulate the strut towers, and yeah, it couldn't have come out better in my opinion. I think that was the move.
Totally the move.
I mean, so what we have here now is obviously raised strut tower, not really raised strut towers, but strut caps. When you look in the engine bay now, it's like you're still looking at like the original weathered, same color material that was there to begin with. I'm super stoked on that.
Yeah, it's a cool touch.
And we were just talking about whether or not we leave the welds or if we grind them down and still leave them, because they'll obviously like rust up where the bare metal is. What do you guys think? I think we're kind of settling on just leaving it.
Yeah, I think it's a good look.
It exaggerates the modification more.
Yeah.
It's like your eyes go to the fact that this steel looks like it was part of the car, which it was, but it doesn't belong here. It's just using recycled parts of a car that normally would have been thrown in the bin.
It's hot rodding.
It totally is. The cheap way. Yeah. Well, leave in the comments below what you guys think we should do. Should we grind this down a little bit and just smooth it out, or should we just leave it? I think we're both voting leave it, but my plan is to paint all of like the tube work and like the column extender and all that, and even the pan head, the Napoleon hat, all that. Probably paint it black, just like the Eva. Yes, I spoke with Max. It's EvaResto, but he didn't have the minerals to tell me that I was pronouncing it wrong. EvaResto. All the EvaResto stuff is all, I don't know if I'll be able to say it. I've been saying it too long, like EvaResto.
I know.
I think I'm going to paint all this black, but mask it off to leave the engine bay. So everything in the engine bay is still worn and has the character of the car as I ultimately got the car, as I found it. You know, all the patina stayed. That's the whole MO of this whole car, just like everything else, which that's hilarious. That's the funniest thing ever. Oh my God, the cars are getting dusty.
Cover them up.
Oh, the interiors are getting dusty. That needs to be framed. First of all, they're inside. Second of all, they're covered to keep shop dust from getting them dirty. So that's another big thing done off the checklist. Stoked on that. Stoked that there was even some parts left of the car that those pieces could be cut out of.
Yeah, repurposed.
All right, so I am working on the back portion of the frame and working on rear bumper mount on the driver's side. Without too much more talking head about planning what I'm going to do, let's just start cutting some steel, and we'll try to make a pathway down to this bumper mount and over to that bumper mount. Because any sort of urgency with what I'm doing here now is to get the bumper mounted and make sure that that doesn't hang down any lower than the body, since we're going lower with the body. If the bumper is going to be closest to the ground, we want to put that on the ground and then not bother with it. All right, well, I pulled the bumper out and kind of forgot how bad it really is. The driver's side rear bumper mount from the body is still attached to the bumper. So this is this piece that is still pretty structurally sound on the passenger side. Even the bracket that mounts to the bumper, that mounts to the bumper mount on the body, is just roached. Ugh. Now this side, I unbolted when I took the bumper off, and you can kind of see some threads on that bolt, but this one here, there's not even a hex left. But over here, we're gonna have to get this separated. So we'll cut that out and we'll get what's left of that bumper mount off. And at some point, I'll cut these bolts out and put some new hardware in there. There's no point in doing that right now, since once I get this cut off, I can at least mock the bumper up and locate where I need a new mounting position off of the frame I'll bring to the back. So what I'll do now is I'll pull some measurements off the floor. Just make sure the floor is like somewhat level right here where the car is. Maybe even mount the bumper, put some through bolts here, and just put some blocks under it to where it looks pretty level with the rest of the car. And I can work my way to it and make sure it looks pretty level. All right, guys, well, the bumper is on, and I put the taillights on too, so you can really see how the step outs in the bumper mimic basically the step out of the taillights. All right, guys, so here's a bit of an update. I kind of just put my head down and started working and trying to figure out what I'm doing back here. So originally I made the driver's side rear bumper like plate that the bolts are going to actually bolt to out of angle iron. And as I started to frame in this back corner, I realized that I really wanted to make it out of 1/4-inch thick steel. So we went to the CNC plasma table. I went to the computer first, rather, then to the table, and made a 1/4-inch thick plate with the corresponding holes. I've got my tilt and angle right. Everything seems to be pretty good. Because in here, we have nothing. There was nothing in here. So I cut away the actual bottom of the floor. As you can see, I made like a square 90 hole in there. And I've framed that in. So I've given myself enough room to get to the bolts. And I've just tack welded it right now. And I've done it like left-handed and blindfolded. So don't judge me on those tack welds. But I wanted to frame that in. And I've tack welded this guy in, basically bridging what's left of the floor of the car and nothingness. Like there's nothing there. But I've got that tack welded in. And I just cut this 1/8 inch thick inch square stock that's going to go straight up. And I've done the same over here. So in here, our factory bumper mount is just fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that bumper mount. So I cut another piece of inch square stock and tack welded it. But what I did before that was I drilled a bunch of holes in both of these. So once we get the body up in the air, I can actually plug weld in numerous spots this bar to the actual car, you know, grabbing everything and holding it all together. And I'm ultimately going to come out of here and triangulate to here. And then I'm going to triangulate from there down to the bumper mounts. So that's my plan of attack. There's like 4 other plans of attack that I feel like also could have worked. So let's get these uprights tack welded in now that I've got those cut, and then we'll work on bringing our way back from the parcel shelf support that I welded in a previous episode. All right, well, we got the uprights tacked in. Soon, we're gonna cut these guys out. These were just welded in while I was cutting all of the floor out, and we were losing all of the structural integrity of the body. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of look at what we need to do to basically go from one bumper mount across to the other. Now, I'd like to just put a straight bar, but this is curved, right? And the only die I have for my bender is a 4-inch centerline radius. So what I want to do next is, just for preliminary measurements, is we've got our exhaust here, right? Now that, as I've already showed you guys, is right on the floor. We've got an EvaResto engine cradle riser coming. So this is going to come up a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I think I might want to use this actual muffler simply for the header flange and this bend to the muffler. Now, when we had this motor running, it sounded great. I want to use at least till here, But the point is I want to know how much space we have. And I can't quite bolt this on with the tailpipe, the actual tip. I'll cut at that back weld where the tip comes out because we're not going to use that. I'm going to build an exhaust off of it. All right, guys, next day, I did cut a piece that I just set in here, and because of the bow of the rear panel of the car, it sits out quite a ways in the middle, right? And so since we're going to be raising all of this up an inch, I really don't want to run into clearance issues later on, and I want to get this crossbar in. So what I did was I took my angle finder here, I kind of just set it right in the middle and just kind of pulled them out to see what kind of angle, calculation-wise, I might want to stay within when I go to the bender. All right, well, we're in. First cut was a success, and we've got it butted level with our lateral bars there. And yeah, looks level enough. It sits tight enough to this rear pan as well. I might be able to get a couple of tacks on it, but for now, I'll just tack weld it into place. All right, guys, so went to the computer real quick and just got a real simple 3" by 3" 1" inset, since we're dealing with 1" square stock, gusset with a little radius on it. And essentially, this is what we're looking to do here. And on that side, and we can mirror it just like so on this side. And what that'll do is that'll give us a mounting surface for our triangulation we're going to bring down from that upright down to that corner, but it'll also act as a gusset between our lateral bar and our crossbar. Well, guys, I will never ever get used to how insane having a computer to cut steel is. Look at that, I haven't even touched this yet. I can't even tell what side is up and which side was the exit pass where there should be dross and like slag. That's 3/16, about a 1/16 distance off the material. Didn't touch it. Haven't even touched it yet. That's just so nuts. All right, guys, well, I got the gussets and plates tack welded in just to get it in and tightened up. And already this whole bumper like mount is holding stronger. It feels much more rigid. And you know, the bumper itself is a cross member, essentially. I'll get these crossbars out of here. We're ready. We're ready. We may have been ready before, but we're ready now with this crossbar in here. And I'm pretty happy with how this is coming together. Yeah, pretty happy. There's so many different ways we could have gone with this, but I'm happy with it so far. So we'll get these out of here, and then we'll look at triangulating that upright down to our plates. All right, well, we got the body up in the air. I'm getting ready to weld in or cut, first of all, our last cross braces or our like back braces. And we had our hoop here ending with just an open square stock. So I welded in some plates on either end so I can get my triangulated bar welded solid. So I did the same on both sides to basically have a solid mounting point to weld to with these next bars. So I got a preliminary measurement. I'm gonna cut a few bars. I can get them both out of that one actually, luckily. And I'm going to use 1/8 inch 1-inch square. So it's basically technically an 11 gauge. So we'll get those cut. We'll find out our angles. We'll get them tacked in, and then we'll finish weld a lot of these joints. So it's yeah, actually holding the car together and not holding on for dear life. All right, so we're working on getting this angle right, and there's so many different weird angles involved in this, and I don't remember which way it goes. We finally got it. We've got this angle, we have this angle, and then over here we have this angle and this angle. So there's like 4 different angles we're dealing with. Might even maybe put a gusset here later on, but for now, I've messed with this one enough. We're gonna weld it in. Try to get as much of my body away from this as possible. I gotta concentrate. All right, left hand down weld. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Watch your back.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
I just need something to like rest my hand on. I cheat a little bit. I like free floating. I'm like. All right, guys, well, I'm going to end the episode there. We've got so much done on the car. We've got so much more to do yet. But I'm so stoked to have the back half of this frame in and a design just figured out, you know? For the space we have, I think it was good usage of that space. We've retained serviceability of the motor with the body down. This morning, I'm starting off just welding everything up, and there's no point in filming all of that. So for now, we're gonna end the video there. Big video. Back half of the frame, basically all done. We got our strut tower covers in, and these I'm just so stoked on. Probably one of my favorite parts of the car. Recycling old bits of the car that I just didn't throw out. Been trying to film 2 episodes at once basically, but I think we're gonna flat pan the floors. But thank you guys so much for watching and for all of your support. We got some massive things coming for the channel. I can't wait to share it with you guys. So until then, no sleep, full throttle, full court press. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.